Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Guy. Today we've got another story straight from Reddit. Let's get into it.
Story 1. Am I overreacting for telling my niece I don't want to take her best friend out anymore after she said I was a victim and my husband was a creep? Recently, I, a 34-year-old woman, took my niece and her best friend out for lunch and Christmas shopping. They were talking about boys they liked, and my niece's friend asked how I met my husband, who is 40. I told her that I've basically known him my whole life. Immediately, she made a disgusted face and loudly said, "Ew, that is so gross. You don't even realize you were a victim, do you? You married your groomer." I was really bothered by the comment, and honestly by my niece's silence, but I ignored it and told them to keep shopping. People often assume that because my husband and I have a 6-year age gap, knew each other most of our lives, and didn't start dating until I was 20, that I must have been groomed. Usually, they don't let me explain how things actually happened. After I dropped my niece's friend off, I told my niece that I didn't want to do outings with that friend anymore. She's 15, so unsurprisingly, she lost her cool and refused to admit that her friend crossed a line by speaking to me the way she did. I wasn't yelling, I didn't insult her friend, I simply said, "I don't want to take you and her out anymore. You can still bring friends, but I don't want to be around her." So now I'm asking, am I overreacting? For anyone wondering if the friend was right, yes, my husband and I grew up together. He's been my older brother's best friend since they were 8 years old, so I probably met him when I was 2 or 3. He lived 2 blocks away and was always around. My brother included me in everything: board games, video games, movies, skate parks. I was just there. My husband and I didn't hang out alone. At most, we'd exchange a few words if he came over and my brother wasn't there yet. We never exchanged phone numbers, never sought each other out, and never flirted. I had a small crush on him growing up, but it was a harmless, he's cute kind of crush, not anything serious. We weren't best friends. We both dated other people and didn't comment on each other's relationships. When I went away to college, we didn't stay in touch unless I called my brother and they happened to be together. During winter break of my first year of college, my car broke down on a dark back road in the middle of nowhere. I panicked and called my brother, asking if his friend, who worked on cars and had access to a tow truck, was around that night. They were together that night. My future husband asked where I was and said, "No problem, I'll get you." An hour and a half later, he showed up with a blanket and a thermos of coffee. He had me sit in the truck to warm up while he loaded my car. He asked if I was okay and if I needed to stop anywhere before going home. Then he asked why I hadn't called him directly. I reminded him that we'd never exchanged numbers before. He said, "Well, let's fix that now." Over the next 2 years, we texted occasionally, mostly memes, movies, video games. Eventually, it became once or twice a week. We both casually dated other people, and it was never an issue. Even when I was home, we didn't hang out alone. During my 3rd year of college, I came home for Christmas again. My now husband asked if I wanted to go to a bar where his friend's band was playing. I asked if it would be a problem since I was only 20. He said the drummer's little sister was still in high school and sometimes went too, just don't order drinks. That winter break, we spent more time together than ever before because my brother was busy with my niece and sister-in-law. The 5th time we hung out, right before I left, he asked if it was okay if he kissed me. I said yes, enthusiastically. The rest is history. So, along with asking whether I overreacted to a 14 or 15-year-old loudly accusing me of being groomed in public, I also ask, does this honestly sound like grooming? Top comment. Based on what she said, I wouldn't allow that friend back either. It was rude, disrespectful, and embarrassing for everyone involved. Comments like that can cause serious legal issues and should never be joked about. Her parents need to have a talk with her. OP reply. I really was having a lovely time before that. The teenage drama was entertaining, and I take every opportunity I can to spend time with my niece. It hurt even more that she didn't say anything. He was her uncle even before he became her uncle. Another comment. As a millennial who graduated high school when having an older boyfriend was still normalized, I'm honestly glad teens are more aware of grooming now. They're not great at nuance, but I'd want kids in my life to care about these issues. OP reply. I do see your point. It was the loud accusation without context that upset me. I would never tell my niece not to be friends with someone. I just don't want to be out with her friend myself. Another comment. You should check whether your brother feels weird about this. Your niece and her friend might have discussed it before. OP reply. My brother was the best man at our wedding and has always seemed happy for us. I'd expect issues long ago if he felt uncomfortable. Still, I'll ask him. Update. My niece and her friend both saw this post since it blew up, even though it was a throwaway account. Yes, the comment got in my head because it wasn't just said once, it was pushed for a few minutes. I was caught off guard and trying to keep the night light. I am not my niece's guardian. I was never trying to block their friendship, only whether I personally took the friend along on outings. My niece apologized. She said she was in shock and didn't know what to say. Her friend also apologized, explaining that she thought my husband was at least 10 years older than me and struggled to imagine someone that age being attracted to someone her age at the time. Everything is fine now. I told my niece her friend can still come along, but she needs to be respectful and not jump to conclusions. And yes, my husband did ask my brother if it was okay to make a move on me, though neither of them remembers exactly when. I'm abandoning this throwaway account. Final comments. One commenter shared a story about someone assuming their father groomed their mother because he looked much older. Another pointed out how some people would rather disappear than admit they were wrong. A third noted that teenagers often jump to conclusions, but growth comes from being corrected.
Story 2. My boss thinks my employee is lying about having cancer. On Friday, my operations manager, Burton, pulled me aside and asked me something I never thought I'd hear. Have you actually seen any proof that Belle really has cancer? Belle is my employee. She'd been off work all week. Since that conversation, I've been second-guessing every interaction I've ever had with her, wondering whether I've been manipulated or whether I've been a terrible boss. We work for a large nonprofit, and our current government-funded contract has us spread across multiple locations. I rarely see my team in person. On paper, Belle hasn't had a great year. Her probation had to be extended after she lost both of her parents within a single month. I made it very clear that the extension wasn't a punishment. It was to give her time to recover and get back on her feet. She passed probation and did fine for a while, until about a month ago. That's when she disclosed that she'd been diagnosed with cancer. She later told me it was stage 3, so I informed HR in advance to prepare accommodations around her treatment. I asked her for the dates of appointments or any letters from her doctor so we could book her leave properly. In our country and with this organization, sick leave is generous. I didn't want her burning annual leave unnecessarily. I asked multiple times. Burton asked multiple times. HR asked us to follow up because we were missing required documentation. Every single time, Belle said she would send it that day, and then something would come up or she'd change the subject. I started to feel awful, like I was pestering someone who was already going through hell, but we genuinely needed to know when she'd be unavailable so we could support her and cover her workload. I asked again at lunchtime on Friday. She promised she'd email the documents at some point today. I relayed this to Burton and went back to my own meetings. His response was blunt. Something isn't right. At 4:45 p.m., I received an email from Belle. She was resigning, effective immediately with 2 weeks' notice. Now I'm stuck wondering, did I push someone who's already had an impossible year over the edge by asking for basic medical documentation we needed to support her? Or was Burton right all along? I've lost friends and family members, including a parent, to cancer. I don't know how I'll react if it turns out she made it up. But I also don't know how I'll feel if Belle really is that sick and couldn't bring herself to send proof because it made everything too real, and she quit because it was all just too much. If she was lying, will that affect Burton's opinion of me and my judgment? And if she lied about this, what else might she have lied about? I am completely stuck. Update. She was lying. She also lied about losing her parents. And now she is lying on LinkedIn about her employment dates, listing her end date as several months earlier than when she actually resigned. It turns out her absences and poor performance weren't medical at all. She was using our organization as a placeholder while quietly turning her side gig into her main job. The advice from readers was incredibly helpful. It gave me perspective on how to process the resignation and how to manage the team afterwards. So thank you. As for Burton and me, we were both made redundant shortly afterwards during a team restructuring. But honestly, happy endings all around. We're both thriving in new roles. Mine is a major step up in pay and responsibility in a field I genuinely care about with a supportive team. So I guess it worked out. Top comments. Commenter 1. I actually lived this. A colleague told everyone they had terminal brain cancer, shaved their head and everything when they lost their hair from chemo. We were politely asked not to ask about the wigs. We worked at a cancer charity. Commenter 2. As someone currently fighting stage 3 cancer and winning, fuck Belle. Edit. Thank you all so much for the support. I'm turning 40 tomorrow and feeling emotional, and this kindness means everything. Also, my halfway through chemo MRI showed my tumor has shrunk 97.6%. Commenter 3. It takes a certain level of psychopathy to lie about having cancer to get ahead. She's probably going to do very well in the corporate world, and that's not sarcasm.
Story 3. Am I the asshole for exposing my husband's affair with his girl best friend at a family barbecue after his father told me to get over it? I am a 29-year-old woman, and I have been married to my husband, who is 31, for 5 years. Overall, our relationship was good, except for one ongoing issue: his girl best friend, Megan, who is 30. They have known each other since childhood. I always felt uneasy about how close they were, but I trusted my husband and tried to be understanding. Megan was always around. She was constantly at our house, they texted all the time, and she even came on family vacations with us. Every time I expressed discomfort, my husband brushed it off. He said she was practically a sister and that I was overreacting. My mother-in-law, who is 58, has always been wonderful to me. She supported me and encouraged me to talk to my husband about boundaries. My father-in-law, however, felt very differently. He adored Megan and repeatedly told me she was part of the family and that I just needed to deal with it. He said my feelings were nothing more than jealousy. 2 months ago, my husband started acting strange. He came home late, became secretive with his phone, and felt emotionally distant. I had a bad feeling. One night, while he was in the shower, I checked his phone. That is when I found out. My husband and Megan had been having an affair for months. I was devastated. When I confronted him, he admitted everything. He begged me not to leave, claimed it was a mistake, and said he loved me. I stayed quiet for a while, trying to process what I had learned. A few weeks later, my in-laws hosted a large family barbecue. My husband insisted I attend so we could keep up appearances while we figured things out. I agreed, even though I knew Megan would be there. She arrived acting completely normal, friendly, smiling, as if nothing had happened. I held it together until dinner, when my father-in-law made comments in front of everyone about how Megan would always be part of the family and how I needed to get over my insecurities. That was my breaking point. I stood up and said, "You know what? I would get over it if she wasn't sleeping with my husband." The table went completely silent. Megan turned pale. My husband tried to stop me, but I continued. I told everyone about the lies, the sneaking around, and the affair. My mother-in-law immediately defended me. She tore into my husband and Megan for destroying our marriage. My father-in-law, however, said I was overreacting and accused me of causing unnecessary drama. He even defended Megan, calling it a mistake and saying we should all move on. I left the barbecue and have been staying with my mother since then. Now my husband is begging me to come home. My mother-in-law remains supportive, but my father-in-law is telling the family I caused all of this. So, am I the asshole? Edit. Many people suggested my father-in-law's behavior was suspicious. My mother-in-law and I are very close, and her marriage has been rocky for years. She has wanted to leave, but stayed because he was the breadwinner. I'm considering showing her what people are saying and letting her decide whether she wants to look deeper. Also, there are no children involved. My soon-to-be ex-husband cannot have kids. Update. After reading comments, I asked my mother-in-law whether anything strange had ever gone on between my father-in-law and Megan. She told me the truth. He has cheated on her 10 times during their marriage. One affair that stood out was that he slept with Megan's mother years ago. That is why she believes the timelines may overlap. She doesn't believe he slept with Megan herself, but she admitted he knew about the affair between my husband and Megan and said nothing. I am contacting a lawyer. Update 2. My mother-in-law confronted my father-in-law and told him to get a DNA test with Megan or she would divorce him. She has decided to divorce him regardless. He just doesn't know it yet. I will be helping her find a place to stay, and she plans to go into real estate with me. Reddit and community support gave her the courage to leave. If the DNA test confirms anything, she will completely cut off both my ex-husband and her husband. Update 3. The DNA results confirmed it. My husband and Megan are half-siblings. My father-in-law claims he had no idea. My mother-in-law is waiting to hear back from Megan's mother. Megan is devastated. My soon-to-be ex-husband is disgusted. Despite this, Megan claims they wanted to remain together, while my ex-husband has been reaching out to me, begging to reconcile. Final updates. I later found out Megan was pregnant, not with my husband's child, but with another married man's baby. That situation imploded on its own. My ex-husband signed the divorce papers. So did my mother-in-law. My ex-husband no longer speaks with Megan or his father. According to his mother, he has distanced himself entirely. There are no more major updates, but I am free. Commenter 1. I really hope the next update reveals that the ex-husband actually slept with his half-sister, and then the following update says she's pregnant with an incest baby. Honestly, this story is probably not real, but it's still incredibly entertaining. Commenter 2. Oh my goodness, karma really is a nightmare when it comes back around. I'm truly sorry for you and your mother-in-law because I can only imagine how painful this must be for both of you. That said, I won't lie, it really feels like your father-in-law, Megan, and your soon-to-be ex-husband got exactly what they deserved. Good riddance to bad rubbish, and I wish you and your mother-in-law a happy, peaceful, and beautiful future.
Story 4.
Am I the asshole for outing my aunt's bedwetting after she kept asking about my sex life? Original post. I am an 18-year-old woman and I have been paralyzed from the chest down due to an accident 3 years ago. I currently live with my older brother. This past week, my brother hosted a large family reunion and several relatives stayed in the house. Privacy was basically non-existent. The last time I saw my aunt, she would not stop asking invasive questions about my body and my sex life. I repeatedly told her to stop. She laughed and said that since my care affects the whole family, which it absolutely does not, it was not really private. On Saturday night, she stayed over and wet the bed. I know this because she asked my brother about doing laundry and he figured out what happened and told me. No one else knew. I had no intention of telling anyone. I understand better than most what it is like to not have full control over your body, and I would never want to shame someone for that. The next day, during a family lunch, she started again. She made jokes about my boyfriend, saying that he was more of a nurse than a lover. That was my breaking point. I responded by saying that maybe she needs a nurse herself so she stops urinating in her sleep. That did not go over well. I know it was a mean thing to say, but I honestly feel like it was justified. My brother is fully on my side and had to hold back from laughing. The rest of my family, however, was not amused. From my perspective, I set a boundary. She ignored it, so I matched her energy. Am I the asshole? Commenter 1. Your aunt is absolutely disgusting. Why is she so obsessed with your reproductive organs? Not the asshole. Commenter 2. Did anyone in your family try to stop her comments before this? Regardless of her intentions, the comment about your partner being a nurse is genuinely cruel. That goes way beyond concern or nosiness. I am really sorry you have to deal with this kind of ableism from your own family. Reply from OP. No, but my family is pretty dysfunctional in general, so the ableism is honestly just water under the bridge at this point. Commenter 3. Completely justified, and your brother sounds like a real one. If it were me, I would not have any kind of relationship with that aunt. She is not just embarrassing you, she is belittling and demeaning you. Did the rest of your family hear what she was saying and just allow it? It's wrong on so many levels.
And that's where this story ends. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching Reddit Guy.